can't just lock in Genji to win. Genji needs to have consistent protection, and that Uther has been by far the greatest protector. And that support synergy, I think, if it's not available, the Genji pick has been practically worthless a lot of the time. We're going to have bans on Sky Temple and Volskaya. An interesting ban here, the Sky Temple ban by Tempest. And it's a map that they actually like a lot, and there was a map where they've been running a lot of that Falstad you were mentioning, so kind of a surprising ban, if I'm honest.
They want to remove a very snowbally map. I think they were made. And Tempest is the one that actually likes to teamfight, and they like to engage, and more of, for the macro, in a macro term, Ballistix like to run a macro game, but that's kind of an interesting one. But first game, just like match number 1, we are going into Battlefield of Eternity. Let's see, as we talked about Vala, if that Vala comes out once again from Ballistix. Or even Hanzo that you mentioned.
Yeah, I think that on this map there's a really high chance for that. Material available here, but Tempest goes directly into the Genji. Let's see, now that the Uther is open, but Ballistix can't ban it, so in order to deny it, they need to pick it now. We saw so much Uther Hanzo from this team, actually, in this exact scenario. It was always the go-to for Ballistix because SC was so fantastic on the Hanzo, and Uther was considered to be not only required for Genji, but also a strong counter to Genji. It's going to be the Hanzo, but with Malfurion now, moving away from this, but this allows the Uther over to Tempest.
Allowing Tempest to actually pick Uther seems way too fishy at the moment. Of course, Malfurion, one of the best supports right now in the meta, but not the best pair up with Hanzo. I'm pretty sure they're thinking about their tank lines, and Hanzo more of not as a lane to stay in lane to get that stack, but more to go around the camp and go for that camp timing. Also great for the Immortal too, with that scatter arrow build. But I wonder what they're thinking. It seems way too easy for Tempest to grab Uther here.
It does feel like a little bit suspicious that they would leave that open. They really wanted the Malfurion. The Malfurion could also be a strong pick against Genji, even though Uther is considered to be stronger in Korea and has the better win rate against Genji at the moment. So, at the end of the day, they bite. They'll take the Uther, pair it with the ETC as well to give further synergy to this composition. And this is the furthest we've seen Tyrael go through a draft in a while. He's still available.
If there's a good mosh pit, you can have a Holy Cow, Holy Mosh. Genji would not be needing that Divine Shield if the mosh is near perfection. And Sign has been playing some great ETC. I think that's also why they banned Garrosh in a way, forcing that Medivh pick, Medivh ban to be drawn out from Ballistix. I think Tempest had all this, but except for the Uther though. I don't think they were planning to use Uther, but
now I got
they
you
were given
saying
the chance
Medivh instead of Maiev.
Oh really? Did I say Medivh?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I got you, I infected you. Let's see where they want to take this. I think a safe ban would just be like Li Ming. Okay. Because, like, if you have this comp, you have really strong dive with the Genji, but you need some sort of poke and sustain damage. If you want to just play a more passive style with the ETC, leave Genji only for Dragon Blades, then you're in fantastic shape. This is just a warrior choke Johanna ban. Because Johanna's not strong against anything Tempest has shown. It will be strong against an auto attack hero, and with Li Ming ban, that's probably what we're going to see, but this is basically trying to force the Anub'arak pick, I think.
Anub'arak or Tyrael. Hooligan was playing lots of Tyrael back in Eastern Clash, pairs up pretty well with Hanzo Malfurion.
Remember when Muradin was the only tank you could pick? It was like the highest priority?
Oh, ETC also.
Well, like, it's just funny, like, that Muradin has fallen so far. Like, he was first pick for years.
Only when everything else is picked and banned, then Muradin comes along.
But you know, it's funny because so many people complain about tank diversity and pro heroes, and I feel like we've finally reached it. And like, no one said thank you. Like, no one said like, wow, we've done it now. But I'm gonna say it, we've done it, G-Clef. Like, tank diversity is real.
Is that unstoppable onto Dwarf Toss? Gone, of course.
Yeah.
I think everyone's used to that timing, so a lot of that is actually cancelled in that animation form. But just as we predicted, it was going to be Tyrael, and Also with Blaze, will be pairing up pretty well with Malfurion's healing, can sustain himself with the shield available. But Hanzo's the only one doing the damage. What's the last pick going to be?
Well, you know, it's very likely to be a hero that pairs well with the Tyrael, like Greymane, for example. I think would be fantastic. Tempest doesn't have any blinds, and they can't actually counter your Greymane pick with like a Cassia second DPS here because you'd have to show it before the 5th pick. So I think you know, Tempest needs to get something that's got consistent damage like a Tychus here, and they'll just grab a Soul Laner that's probably a winning matchup. Like I think Malthael and
Tempest may be thinking of their own Greymane. They need something else to go for that Immortal.
What if they want Greymane Medivh? Oh my god. It'd be so sick. They're not going to do it. Thrall. And so there's the Malthael Soul Lane. So, you know what? I'm not sold on this Tempest comp. Dragon Blade can be really powerful, but there's so many ways to mitigate that by Ballistix. I don't know if I like this one. Sundering can be another way to open up a fight with the Thrall. Malthael is going to win the Soul Lane matchup and also help the Immortal race, but it just feels like this is another one of these comps that we've seen so much fail that's all about Genji, you know?
I think this is exactly what they tried to do back in Eastern Clash last weekend, and they had a great result. Of course, not the best. They were top 3 still. They were really good, but they were not able to compete against KSP Black nor Ballistix with this type of picks that they had. It's very similar to what they had last weekend. And let's see if they are able to change anything, like change of hero. Maybe X-Strike could be a factor. Maybe something else. Along with, they could have like an Earthquake pairing up with the Mosh Pit a little bit easier, but I'm really reaching out that right now.
Well, Tychus pick comes in over the Greymane, but I think this is probably just because Tychus has Odin, which is going to look for more sustained damage in these fights, and that's kind of they're moving away from the blow up with this composition. Also has some displacement with his grenade versus the ETC mosh pits. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to reach to figure out Tempest draft as well. It's not a bad draft, but when we're talking about some serious high-level play, like defending Eastern Clash champions Ballistix here, I don't know if this is going to hold up, because there's ways to mitigate this with Twilight Dream, Bunker, Sanctification, Genji just simply being burst down by his brother, Hanzo here. So, take a look at who's playing what. No swaps here. It's just going to be straight up exactly as you would imagine. So no position swaps during the downtime between Eastern Clash and now. Always got to check in Korea because people like to be swapping positions. I don't like it. They're not doing it. I'm a happy guy.
Happy Wolf right next to me, of course, but they have been sticking to their roles, especially when these kind of picks came along. When Tracer comes along, of course, Sign's the one that usually plays it, so that's a different story there.
Yeah, that's yeah, that is the other exception. So Thrall used to be a solo laner. He might be a solo laner again with the nerf coming through from his Crash Lightning, but who knows? It's just so powerful right now that he ends up becoming the 4-man poker, because he's basically like playing a pseudo range DPS right now in order to get the Crash Lightning stacks. But the problem with this comp for Tempest is that it's like practically melee in this lane versus great wave clear, good poke with the Hanzo. They're going to get really bullied in this 4-man. Luckily, though, they have the winning matchup in the Soul Lane, so that should mean that they're not going to get totally steamrolled in the early game. But
unless they go super close, aggressive towards that ETC, I think they will just outlane the entire time. And Sign is in a great position to punish anyone. Seems like SD is the target. There's the power slide.
That was a great save on the power slide. A little bit sloppy by Ballistix to not check that bush. They had no vision of ETC whatsoever. Perhaps they thought it was a lane swap when he was rotating down, but you've always got to check that. All it would have taken was just one Q. The SDE has shown a 100% win rate on the Tychus.
It has been the way to go pick whenever they were lacking in the range. Tychus was the one.
Yes, a lot of jokes made by J-Hal about SD just being a Tychus bot, basically, when we were casting together at Eastern. Double stun here. Gonna try to turn this around.
Ooh, grenade
Body
misses
block.
onto Lockdown, but still more than enough damage onto Hyde now. Getting 2 kills.
Been a messy early game here. This did require the rotation up of Blaze, so Jungha gonna help push this top lane. They're gonna grab the neutral camp, but counterwise good. Was able to do some significant damage here to the top cannon tower in the bot lane. So fairly strong lead now for Ballistix as the Immortals will be spawning soon. The announcement comes in just a moment. This has just been kind of both teams make a mistake in terms of greed against a punishing tank. Blaze and HGC being the punishers here. But now in terms of team fighting, going to be a tough question. I feel like the first Immortal and maybe the second one, depending on how the follow-up goes, is going to be in favor of Ballistix. But as Crash Lightning starts to build up and get more powerful, and we see level 10 where the Genji is going to come online, Tempest can have a big swing. If they are somehow able to win this one, it would be amazing for them knowing that their power spike comes in 5 levels.
Tempest will have a lot of diving tools. They will basically have everyone diving in along, except for Uther, who will be providing that Divine Shield to a target that's needed. Ballistix has so many tools as you talked about, the bunker, sanctification, even the big silence coming out from Malfurion. Although I think it may actually just be Tranquility because they will be lacking some healing, maybe, possibly.
If they can somehow shut down the Dragon Blade, then Tranquility is going to be so good. Boggy is very low here, but they do turn this around. Lockdown eats a ton of damage. We'll have to back off.
Dami's actually super low, trying to chase Moggy.
This was really too much chasing out of Tempest. But yeah, you know, the Tranquility is going to be so good against Thrall's damage because it's slower and more sustained. And once the Dragon Blade is over, they have like very little damage. So Tranquility can just make it so it's basically like tickles. Look at this, pretty well shielded. About a third of shields. They were able to take the defensive engagement. And Ballistix is in prime position now to get level 10 first. Which means that that could lead to a second Immortal take back-to-back because Tempest doesn't come online until 10. Ballistix has the better race comp. ETC spotted, which means that can't get the flank he was looking for, the flank he got earlier. Gonna have to take the long way around.
Let's go back all the way around. And Sign is basically spotted, he can't be onto the side anymore. Be close. They'll be poking so hard because they have all the range, and Tempest basically
Has none.
And their wave clear is so bad if they cannot get even close to it. Lockdown is so low.
Yeah, he almost died.
Just by from the pokes coming out from Hanzo alone.
This forced rotation down to Malthael, which means they're also losing the top lane right now because he's not there. Malthael versus Blaze top lane, he rotates down, so Blaze is actually damaging the top fort wall. Should never be happening, obviously in an ideal world. And this is anything but ideal world for Tempest right now. Losing this cap, lost the fort. They're going to look for an invade here. Jungha sees it now. Just barely in range, but ETC couldn't get past him. So he's actually going to make this a positive trade.
Tempest was trying to catch the rotation down. They knew that was coming very soon. But Jungha just super being passive. Also, the timing did not really fit Tempest very well. And if Sign is spotted all the time when he has to go back along with his teammates, Ballistix has to worry about nothing. The only thing that he has to worry about is maybe Martel missing from the lane sometimes.
Malfurion has been innervating Hanzo, and not because he's got mana problems, but because they want to have his Sonic Arrow off cooldown more often. Notice a lot of the time when Malfurion hits SC with the innervate, he'll immediately afterwards use the Sonic Arrow and then have that cooldown reduction to use it again. He is Sonic Arrowing all the time. And that's why they keep spotting Sign. That's why they keep controlling his rotations, controlling the macro.
Going up on top again.
This time, I don't think they see him. Pings come down. It comes in, doesn't get the power side he's looking for. Huge root, follow-up stun, so much damage. Goodbye, Malthael.
Counterplay, outplayed by Ballistix. They knew that was coming in. SCST pressed that D so quick, and Moggy's root right there. Perfect positioning, pairing up with Blaze's Jet Propulsion CC. I mean, They are making this game look so easy right now.
Terrio's holding potential judgment. This could be really powerful against this comp, especially if they're going to go for Uther. Can't cleanse himself, and they can just burst him down. There's a lot of things they can do with Judgment, obviously, but they're going to hold it until an opportunity arises. This is a full shield immortal they're going to get pretty much.
I don't think it's going to be Judgment, unless they're winning super hard, or it's a one moment opportunity Judgment. Unless that happens, I don't think it's going to be Judgment, because after the bunker, you need that ground for your team, because Tempest, I think they have so much tools to work against that bunker when that dies off.
Yeah. Well, we should just start calling those. I like how you call it the one moment, one opportunity. Oh, that height's gonna get blown up here.
Not spaghetti.
Yeah, I think we should just call these judgments. We should call these judgments the Eminem judgment.
Eminem judgment. Well,
or anything like that, where you lock in like a haymaker or something like that. Any of those ults you just lock in at 10 because you want to get a kill.
Well, the full immortal now, and Tempest still not 10. It is, of course, sanctification. And look at this pushing power. It's insane. Tempest can't do a thing. This is oftentimes why you need some poke, some range. And this is really working out. Banning on Leeming was the best choice here.
Yeah, it really was. Okay, Good's going in, hard engaging with this Tormented Soul's first one of the day. Bunker there, though, to counter this. Good is getting burst down. So much damage coming in from SC. A stun from the Immortal here, going to wreck this team fight. Sundering completely worthless, and now Divine Shield Dragon Blade just feels too little too late. Keeps gonna go down, and Ballistix could look for a core here. The second Immortal of the game is fully shielded, and they will end the game with it. Dami just trying to do what he can, but he can't even get close to anybody.
There is no way of stopping this. Ballistix taking game one easily off the control. They basically, it's never like this, but they basically won the game with the draft and how they were able to manage where Sign is. They were able to catch Sign after that initial level 1 or level 2 fight, maybe at the very beginning.
It was almost a perfect game.
They knew where Sign was all the time.
Except that first pick he got.
Yes, except for that one.
Which is the only death they had. They got their Ballistix-themed hand warmers to keep them warmed up. Didn't have time to let their hands get cold after that short game. That was an 8-minute and I think, 38-second game. Super fast game.
And that was the second Immortal, right?
Yeah, second Immortal. Fully shielded.
Went through the fort and the keep, and that was game.
SC's Hanzo is no joke. Like I'm more scared of even a nerfed Hanzo in SC's hands than letting Ballistix get Maiev. Like, give him Maiev if you can take the Hanzo away, because he is, I think, by far the best Hanzo player in the world. And it's nerfed, and he's still killing it. So good for the map. Watch out. He's coming for you.
I think it's going to continue, and we saw a lot of Hanzo coming out from SCSC. They were also able to win the Eastern Clash because of that pick, also Vala that we talked about. But Tempest, they have been picking too much of what they like to do, you know? The roster when they first formed, when there are lots of players, they all play melee, and we were worried who was going to be the solo lane, who was going to play some range, because Dami has been doing lots of melee. Even Lockdown used to play melee. Good always has been solo lane and playing melee. So it's everything coming into melee, and that's exactly what we had in game one. Leeming could have been a pick for Lockdown maybe, but it was banned out. What other mains can you actually bring into the play?
Gul'dan, not really. He doesn't have enough range. I mean, that was pretty much it. Like, Leeming was the best pick. The only thing they could have picked was just like Greymane for like more range damage. You know, once Rainer's released, maybe that could have been an option, but like we're waiting for that release. Still hasn't come out yet.
Or not in that patch yet.
Yeah,
it's coming.
that's what you know.